Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the morning grind. I hope everybody is doing great. I hope you've been productive. I hope you have gotten things done and not been procrastinating, as we have been saying on the as part of the War of Art. I have been working, and yesterday I came to almost finish that story. Almost, I say. I got to one last part of it, like the last section. Got to the last section, so only one more thing to write on it, and then realized. Then wanted to go back and start reading through the entire thing, because the conclusion was where I was going to wrap it all up, and I wanted to make sure that I was addressing the points that had been brought up and addressing the main question of the story. And as I was read through it a couple of times before prepping to write that, and I realized that the second half of it was not working and needs to be revised. But I also found out that it does not need that last section. It doesn't need that last section. Instead, what was going to be in that last section needs to be folded into the last part of the story. This is the Christmas story that I'm writing. needs to be folded into the second half of the story, and that's what's going to strengthen it. So that's where I got to. So it's in some ways it's kind of disheartening to go, okay, I got to rewrite some of these these sections in the second half of the story. But I think I figured out what needs to happen as far as their strengthening goes, because it's a lot of it is structural, which we talk a lot about structural issues. When we talk about storytelling and Good Night Sword, when we talk about storytelling and on table talk. And so, yeah, most of the time when I'm having a problem with the story, it ends up being a structural issue. So another thing I want to show yesterday, things that I have been working on, is that there is, if you are on Instagram, let's see, Table Talk Instagram, because I've got these shorts, Table Talk Instagram right here. And so I've got I was making shorts out of our Table Talk conversations. So if you're on Instagram right there, I made it up. And I like the fact that we've got, I like being able to use these shorts in multiple different ways, because I've got, we can put them out and putting them out on the YouTube shorts. So that's on the Table Talk channel. While I was sitting here working yesterday, I feel like I've got to finish today, because like my health, my eating, none of that has been any good since since I started going in doing the rewrite of the story. The house has turned into a disaster, because all I've been doing is basically thinking about the story. So it has to get done. But while I've been in between breaks, I've been taking those shorts and not only putting them out on YouTube Shorts on the Table Talk channel, but then also over here on the Table Talk Instagram. So if you would like to follow along on Instagram, you can see that over there and seeing how they do. And then also putting it on TikTok. So to go to all the trouble to make up those shorts, it's nice that they have 3 different places where they can go. They can now go out to Instagram. I was having a problem with Instagram cropping it weird, but I figured that out. It was part of my process in uploading. So I started getting that. I got that taken care of. It's interesting to see what goes well in one place and not another. So it's nice to have 3 different places to have the shorts have an opportunity to be seen and to go viral or whatever if they do that. And it's interesting to see, as I'm kind of learning the platforms, sometimes things that do well in one place do well in the others as well. Like, oh, this one really went well over here. Let me be sure to upload it onto these other 2 or this other one. Other times, what goes well on one is completely different than what goes well on another one. So it's just kind of interesting learning these platforms. So I just started this Instagram yesterday. So put some stuff up there. And then over here on TikTok, this one about the idea of the sequel trilogy being erased, being ridiculed, that one still continues to just be on fire over here. Now up to 45,000 views over on TikTok. So that's clearly what TikTok people like. So that one's over there. So there's a Table Talk TikTok as well. And we'll just see. It's kind of fun. So all right, so that's what's going on over here. Let's take that down. So good morning, James. Good to see you. Yep. I saw that you were thought this was a good topic. I know you work on Saturdays, but so we'll be looking at the phasers and communicators this morning. Good morning. So good morning, BGD. Coffee poured. Oh, I got coffee too. I needed coffee this morning. No, for some reason that. And it's also interesting, speaking of the different platforms, seeing what people want to say and comment, the way that people comment. At least it seems like the YouTube people, the people who will comment on YouTube videos and YouTube shorts, they're very different. They say different things. They like to talk about different things than say what the TikTok people like to talk about. I don't know about the Instagram people yet. We'll see. But you get the different cultures and different feelings in the comments. Do I have a hairbrush? Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Offie Matrix, hello. Hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good to see you. In fact, here, let's toast. Good to see you in the comments. I don't know if I've seen you before, Offie Matrix. So if I looks like someone new, you get a toast. Hello, Stray, and the Discord server. I've still got to go in and dig through the Discord server. There's a lot going on. So I know. So, but I need to get in there. But I have not. Everything is just focused on this story. And I can't believe it's October 1st. This is October 1st, and there are projects to get underway. It looks like this. I mean, this means the Christmas story is going to happen because I got to the point yesterday. I was like, okay, well, it can happen this Christmas because I've been trying to do this for years and years and years. And I am under some serious pressure to get this turned around. And especially it needs to get finished today. So, yeah, I'm glad. Yep, I made it work. Figured it out. Good morning, Tomocrat. Stray says, don't make me come over there. You've got to take care of yourself. I know, I do. I've got to. I need a lot more schedule in life. I've gotten completely away from schedule. I need a lot more schedule in life, but I need some things to get working. Good morning, Zero the Blade. Good to see you. Good to have you here this morning. Please do hit the like on the live stream. If you're here, please do hit the like. That would be great. I think that's one of the ways. I don't know if it's the main way, but I know it's a main way that YouTube knows to send out the live streams to everybody and to promote it. So it would be great to have more people here. Tea. Well, tea in the morning. Yes. Whatever you like. Even if you need some whiskey, hopefully not. But if you do, hey, all right. Hey, it may be the afternoon where you are anyway. Okay, let's bring up our reading, and let's go ahead and do our breathe and sip, and then do our reading. We were talking about procrastination yesterday. This is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. This is our book I really like about, well, it's called The War of Art and Getting Things Done. We know we've got a lot of creative people around here who are trying to get things done and trying to get things made. So let's go ahead and grab our drink this morning. Everybody grab your drink. Let's take 2 deep breaths. 2 deep breaths in, complete exhales. Then we'll take a sip and we'll do our reading, and then we will go on to the Star Trek Technical Manual. So here we go. Breathe. And sip. Good. Good. All right. Let's see what Stephen Pressfield says. This is, so we read yesterday, resistance and procrastination. Let's go over here to resistance and sex. Oh, quite a topic. Okay, resistance and sex. Resistance, by the way, if you're new here, is everything that prevents you from being everything that you were meant to be and could be. And it often is used particularly with regard to things that stop you from your creative production. Sometimes resistance takes the form of sex or an obsessive preoccupation with sex. Why sex? Because sex provides immediate and powerful gratification. When someone sleeps with us, we feel validated and approved of, even loved. Resistance gets a big kick out of that. It knows it has distracted us with a cheap, easy fix and kept us from doing our work. Of course, not all sex is a manifestation of resistance. In my experience, you can tell by the nature of the hollowness you feel afterwards. The more empty you feel, the more certain you can be that your true motivation was not love or even lust, but resistance. It goes without saying this principle applies to drugs, shopping, masturbation, TV, gossip, alcohol, and the consumption of all products containing fat, sugar, salt, or chocolate. You know, has anybody ever read the book Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. One of the things in that book was the transmutation of sex energy. Anybody remember that? That's what I think about when I'm looking at this with resistance and sex. Okay, resistance and trouble. We get ourselves in trouble because it's a cheap way to get attention. Trouble is a faux form of fame. It's easier to get busted in the bedroom with the faculty chairman's wife than it is to finish that dissertation on the metaphysics of Motley and the novellas of Joseph Conrad. Ill health is a form of trouble, as are alcoholism and drug addiction, prone to accidents, all neuroses, including compulsive screwing up, and such seemingly benign foibles as jealousy, chronic lateness, and the blasting of rap music at 110 decibels from your smoke-glassed 95 Supra. Anything that draws attention to ourselves through pain-free or artificial means is a manifestation of resistance. Oh, I can think about a lot of things with regard to this. Cruelty to others is a form of resistance, as is the willing endurance of cruelty from others. The working artist will not tolerate trouble in her life because she knows trouble prevents her from doing her work. The working artist banishes from her world all sources of trouble. She harnesses the urge for trouble and transforms it in her work. Now, I try to do that. I try to be a real low drama individual. I don't have a lot of drama sitting here at the house. That's an advantage of being here alone. There are disadvantages. But that's an advantage to being here alone. I live a very drama-free life, but I can think of a lot of people who this applies to, and a lot of the behaviors that this applies to. People who are looking for easy ways to get attention. Well, first of all, addicted to trouble. I know people who will have drama, and then as soon as the drama dies down, as soon as that arc of drama is over, it starts again. They start something else. They find something else to all of a sudden have a bunch of drama about. And if you're just going from one arc of drama, an arc of drama to another, then you'll never get anything done. And it is also to bring attention to themselves. I often say, or think about anyway, it's not like I've said it on here, but think about things that somebody might do, and things that someone might do in order to bring attention to themselves without actually having to do a lot of work, without having to get that validation, without having to do a lot of work, or without having to do much of anything, and certainly without having to do something of the long-term type that resistance starts to struggle with. So very relevant passages. Oh, thank you, Stray. All right, cheeseburger will do. I've got a place that I go to pick up a cheeseburger occasionally when I need to get out of the house. Actually, it actually closed and moved a little bit further away, but I still go there when I need human contact. Sometimes it's nice to be able to go down to a local bar and grill. All right, let's get set up for our technical reading today. Star Trek technical reading. Thank you, Stray. I really appreciate it. James, haven't read it. We might have to look at that one sometime. If we continue with the reading theme, we've got several things from Stephen Pressfield to read, but if we continue with reading passages, I think the book's passages are rather short. It's not as short as this. BGD says, that's a pretty heavy start for a Sunday morning. I'm here for the phasers and universal translators. All right, we're getting to that. Hey, McDougal. Hey, good to see you. Here's to you. James says, drama sometimes creeps up on me, but I try to be as low drama as I can. I know some people who seek it out, though, and I try to give them a wide berth. It's horrible if you live with people like that and can't actually get away from it. Zero the Blade says, but what if the drama finds you when you aren't looking for it? Well, that happens. I mean, I guess sometimes that's unavoidable. Sometimes it might be unavoidable. But like when I'm hiding down here in the house, it's hard to find me. All right, there we go. So if you were here yesterday, we started on this yesterday and taking a look at what's inside this. And this is a really cool book. There's a lot of world building in this book. And I didn't realize how early it was. I saw first over here that this is a reissue from 1986, but people were saying that there was a hard copy version of this. But I noticed that, of course, it's published in an in-universe style, but it says that its first printing was 1975. So Star Trek debuted in 1966. So this actually was created in 1975. So there's a lot. That was really interesting that there's so much world building here so early, which I think is really neat. We're taking a look at the different kinds of ships and shuttlecrafts. Let's see if I can get a bit more on the screen here. There we go. So we're taking a look at single hull stateroom primary hull class 1 ship. Now we saw this recreated as a set at Neutral Zone Studios. Typical officers' accommodations. They've got this shared bathroom. I noticed it. So we got you can see it. Here's the chair, desk, wardrobe, standard twin size bed. Of course, there was just one of these recreated. Then you redecorate it for whoever's quarters you're in. But you've got translucent. See the stall. So you've got the water closet here, translucent stall with the water closet, vanity laboratory. But then I noticed over here, shower tub with jacuzzi unit. Also, so they have a jacuzzi unit in here. James says, sometimes the drama finds me for sure. When that happens, I try to take a break from whatever caused it or allow someone to bring it into my life. Doesn't always work, but I try. See, this says that there's a pocket door over here. So this looks like a shared bathroom, but it says over here the double stateroom. This one specifically calls out that the bathroom is shared, but there are two water closets in here. That's the toilet with a twin vanity lavatory over here. So this makes more sense for. Wait a minute, this might be shared between 4 people because it's kind of a Jack and Jill setup. It looks like because you've got the pocket door over here as well, but you've got 2 beds here. It's interesting. You know, we saw in Star Trek 6, we saw them with the actual bunker in the actual bunk rooms. But here you've got actually twin size twin beds that you both sleep side by side. You need like a divider or something. Oh, that's a good question. Why don't they call it the head? They should. They did in the blueprints that we looked at. It was definitely called the head in the blueprints. But yeah, right. Why aren't they calling this the head? They should. Look, you've got a door. You've got 2 doors out of here. One of them that walks right into the bedroom, and one of them that walks right into the office area, the living quarters. McDougall says, the thing about drama is people let it affect them, unavoidable, loathsome as it may be, but let it run its course. Let the water be off the duck's back, and let it be water off a duck's back. And in the long run, is worthless getting upset about. Yeah, most of the time it is. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. It can consume your life for months. Now I'm concerned that it doesn't call it the head. Yeah, got to hit the head. Yeah, they should have. I wonder how that was missed. Because here we do say where the toilet is here. I was thinking about here's the bridge, obviously, we're looking at right here. I was thinking about this the other day, about the shots of the bridge. Now, there's one turbo lift elevator here on the original bridge, and then there ends up being a second turbo lift on a lot of the later bridges. And in Star Trek VI, that was the case because they actually used the turbo lift by Spock's station quite a bit. But you still have the view that comes in this side. So on the original set and on the recreation at Kingsland, Georgia, this section right here is not there because that's how you walk on. And so when you're shooting, you shoot this way onto the set. And I was thinking that I bet that's been the case a lot. I was trying to think of different times when you would have seen this angle, even in the movies. And I can't think of a lot of times. It seems like that seems to be the way the bridge has been built basically ever since then. Because I can't think of an angle. I do think of angles that shoot this way, and I think of angles that can shoot this way. But I don't really think of any time when you come in and you see this wall back here. So it may be that basically on none of the bridges was this wall ever built, especially because in the movies, they reused the sets. And so it may have gotten built like that and then reused. And then so the first time it was built like that, it may just never have been constructed that way. I could be wrong about that. I'd be interested to know angles where you see this way. Yesterday, we were talking about the photon torpedoes. And we're talking about, I'm sure somebody might have even compiled it on YouTube, scenes where the Enterprise actually fires in a 365 degree, or it doesn't have to exactly be 365, but in basically 365 degrees from itself, which the D should be able to do. But the original, my problem with the setup of the armaments on the original ship is that it doesn't really cover the ship very well. BGD says, this book was clearly the blueprint for the 1991 Star Trek TNG technical manual by Sternbeck and Okoda, but the TNG book is a true tech manual with considerably less documentation and world building. Yes, and I have that book. It had less documentation and world building. I do remember really enjoying that book. I had it, and I think my cousins have it now, but I might have to get it again to go over on the morning grind. I do like here that this you've got an exit door here, it says, but I don't know how much you see that. I mean, this would be the original Constitution class, and I was trying to think about the original view screen view this way. You might not see it, I don't know, but there's an exit here that goes around this corridor to be able to service all the different stations, and then access to what should be the head right there. And also a gangway down. Well, it could be. They probably don't mention it in the movie, in the TV show. Maybe the reason it wasn't called Heads because they haven't thought about it. But it seems like this is so Navy inspired and generally military in nature. Somebody should have thought about that. Water closets typically a more European thing. I mean, you see signs for water closets in Europe, not so much here in the U.S. Main bridge cross section. Dome transparent to all forms of electromagnetic radiation. Okay, I thought they were going to say dome opaque to all forms of electromagnetic radiation. Secondary exit. So there's this gangway going down. Longitudinal looking to port. This is looking to transverse looking forward. Biology lab area. Geology lab area. There's, Stray has talked about how undermanned these ships are. Because we were looking at that when we were taking a look at the blueprints of the original Enterprise. And there's a whole bunch of different types of laboratories, like the biology lab, and then the geology lab, and then a whole pool and all of that. Because it seems to be a big ship And they were looking for things to put on it, I suppose. They should have put some more weapons. Oh, BGD says not so much of page count devoted to the Articles of Federation, General Orders, etc. Yeah. I don't remember that part being in the Next Generation manual. Right. But also, where was I going with that? Oh, but also, there's YouTube videos I was seeing about how undermanned the Enterprise D is. That there's somebody who did some mock-ups of showing like the entire crew of the Enterprise D standing at attention on the saucer section, and it takes up no space. It takes up no space. There's also a backup engine and a bigger sick bay. Yeah. Yeah, bigger sick bay would be one. I always thought that maybe you didn't see all of it. It's especially for a crew of 200, you probably need more than 3 beds, or at least some kind of private rooms. So a larger sick bay. They did put on a whole bunch of transporters, which how fast can you get people on or off that ship would be a thing. So you need more than one. You need more than the one transporter room set in the show. So they did put a lot of those, but they didn't put backup engines and larger sick bays. They do have like fabrication rooms for like repairing parts and things. The command module, main bridge, class 1 starships. Let's see. I wonder if any of this was used. I need to create the Kingsland, Georgia set. I would imagine they had to have had it. But then again, this is not an actual reconstruct, the material for the reconstruction of a set, and they were trying to reconstruct a set. I was a bit disappointed. So we got like, here's the helmsman station right here. Sensor alert light, ship sensors, activity monitors, ship's helm control panel, fire control, helm systems status board. There isn't a whole bunch more detail beyond that. Refer to the helm subdivision of this section for detailed operations procedures and systems function specification. Refer to engineering section for systems schematics, wiring diagrams, and standard maintenance procedures. Refer to section 10800 for operation of fire-controlled systems classified, housed beneath the helm systems status board. Whereas the navigators station, navigation controls, deviation plotter, course programming planner, fire control panel, systems, ship sensors, refer to section 020600 for detailed operations procedures and systems function specifications. Refer to engineering section for system schematics, wiring diagrams, and standard maintenance procedure. The command console, intercom, so very, very general here, command functions panel, vital functions override panel, command intercom panel, record deck and readout unit. So he gets his space zip drive too. There should be one sick bay every so many levels. You can have a sick bay, but then there should be satellites throughout the ship, especially like for emergency use. They often transport whole people off one planet to another. That's a whole bunch of sick bay and staff. Yeah. I think in that Starfleet technical manual, the Next Generation technical manual, I think they actually talked about how long would it take the Enterprise to evacuate a planet, because somebody was thinking about that for a show, some plot point in a show, and it actually takes the Enterprise a long time. That's the D, to evacuate a planet. You would need, but they bring a lot of people on board quite often. McDougall says, I'm surprised it didn't have multiple areas for controlling the ship just in case something happened at the helm. Well, now they do have the auxiliary bridge. Now they did have that. Now that would mean having to get to a completely different place on the ship. I guess that was something the Enterprise D has going for it, that you could reconfigure all the stations, because then it was all digital. You had all the touch screens by then. So reconfigure all the different stations for different things. If something did happen at the Helm station, you could reconfigure another station for Helm. If something happens on board this ship, defense subsystems. I wonder how well this lines up with what was in the blueprints. Command intelligence, navigation, engineering. So this should be communications, command intelligence station, navigation station, defense and weapons. This environmental, ship's environment. The astrogator. So this is what's sitting in between Sulu and Chekhov. Right. No, it was no, they could not hold it. Oh, see, so many people, we all read the same books. No. It could not hold the population of entire planet. So it was talking about how long does it take it to beam them on board, and then it's got to travel to wherever it's going to be taking them, offload them, come back. And it was a long time. Even in your head, it's easy to get a sense of how relatively sparse the original Enterprise was. There was 430 people on board and 11 decks in the saucer section. That's about less than 40 people per deck. That's a good point. How many people are actually living on board? Because there's a lot of room in the saucer section is dedicated toward housing the 430 people. 430 people? What was this? So 430 people. Yeah. So heavy class Constitution, heavy cruiser Constitution class starship. 43 officers, and then their crew, which it says is all ensign grade. 387. Yes. Okay. So 430. Okay. Perfect. Right on, BGD. And it gets even worse, as Strays pointed out in the Enterprise D. I don't ever remember that coming up until relatively recently. Really, until Stray brought it up. I can't. I don't know how I would have thought about that. Like, as far as the density of the ship. But now I would, if I were doing world building. Now I totally would. In Voyager, there was one. They're talking about like satellite sick bays. I can't remember exactly what episode, but I believe it was in the one with the 8472 versus Borg. It's been a long time since I've watched Voyager. Voyager was basically the last Star Trek that I really got into. I remember when Voyager came out, it being a big thing. I was really excited about it, that Voyager was coming out. And I remember being a dedicated viewer of that show for a long time. Not always. I don't think I went entirely through the entire series when it was live on TV, but I was a dedicated Voyager viewer for a long time. I don't think I got to like when 7 and 9 was on like in my initial watch through. Holographic image. Coordinate system grid. Ship's log and chronometer. Astrogator is shown in medium resolution and is centered on the center of the treaty exploration territory. The flying point, bright spot, indicates the UFP is target destination. Ship is heading on a bearing of 0 Mark 200. Refer to section 020600 for detailed operations procedure and systems function specifications. Refer to engineering section for systems. Security section. Primary hull. Yeoman or watch officer. Oh, it's the cells. Oh. Wardroom. Typical detention cell. FB force field barrier. Food and beverage services, mess room. I don't remember seeing this in the blueprints, but it was probably there. Briefing room over here. Isolation door. And of course, you do see the brig. They don't call it the brig here, but you do see the brig in the shows, and it's a tiny little part of the set. It's a tiny little part of the set, but it's there. Stray says, I had a girlfriend who asked why everyone was named Ensign. See, that's a weird part. That I think this goes clearly with having no enlisted personnel on board the ship. The weird part of this. So if you come in, you're an ensign. So this is before we have enlisted personnel on board the starship. That would be something to change up. But you don't see it on the original show. So which tells me that like your system for promotion in Starfleet must be pretty different, because you've got a huge number of ensigns relative to the other command grades or other officer grades. I never got into Deep Space Nine. I know the people who love Deep Space Nine just love Deep Space Nine. So I mean, I hear great things about it, but I tried to watch some of it, but I didn't get into it. Michael says, weren't there over 1,000 people living on the D, counting family? Yeah, it's a huge number. It's double this, but the ship size. Let me see if I can find that. And I posted the link to it in the Discord server. But let me see if I can find this. I'll post a link to this video so that you can watch it on this. Size of the Enterprise D crew, maybe. Oh, here it is. The Enterprise D. This is the entire crew. This is the entire crew standing at attention. Copy link on the saucer section of the Enterprise D. So it says here, the Enterprise, he's graphically representing it. The Enterprise D is insanely huge. We all know the D is big, but how is it? It's huge, and it's massive, in fact, especially for it only having 1,000 people on board. Stray's right. It's massively undercrewed. So this is YouTube video on how empty the Enterprise D is. So I put the link to that video in the chat. If you want to watch it after this, right click it, put it in a different browser window. 7 of 9 best girl. She didn't come until later for me, so I never really saw her episodes. But Torres, I remember Torres and enjoying her character. Torres was really good. Oh, I've been saying Stray. I'm sorry. I meant Sable. Yes, talking about the size of the Enterprise. I meant Sable Phoenix. Sable's not here, it doesn't seem right now. But yes, it was Sable Phoenix who brought up the size of the Enterprise, how empty it was. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah. Just call them Reds until they get named. BGD says the largest deck of the original series Enterprise is over a football field's length and diameter, 120 meters. That's over 120,000 square feet just in one level. Yeah, I would like to see the comparison. Maybe he's done it for the Enterprise as well, the other Enterprises as well. That guy who did this comparison, but he was trying to come up with, exactly like that, what you're talking about, like how much space, 120,000 square feet on just one level. When you think about like how many square feet is an apartment, like a standard apartment. Like they can be, I mean, I guess they can vary. If you look in New York, you can get like how many square feet is this apartment? It's like 10 square feet. But 750, 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. For DS9, you at least have to watch the Pale Moonlight. It wouldn't be a bad. Of course, I got a lot of things to watch. I don't know. One day, I guess I'll get to sit here and watch them. But like I've recommended to my brother because some of his, he wants to show his wife and children the Enterprise, Enterprise Next Generation, Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I said he should just watch the best episodes. Don't try to go through the entire thing. Just come up with a list. Like there are all kinds of lists online about like the best Worf episodes or the best Borg episodes or whatever. So maybe there's a list of like the best DS9 episodes. I could get a feel for it. About 1,100, something like that. It's something close to that. You're probably right on the Enterprise D. Oh, it goes gangbusters when Worf joins. DS9 improves after the first season and goes gangbusters once Worf joins the crew. But civilians and families on board the Enterprise fluctuated the total population up to as high as 6,000 souls. Mike says ensign is the lowest officer rank, I believe. Enlisted was for other branches like the Marines, which was never brought up in the show. Yeah, I don't ever recall Federation Marines, at least being mentioned. And we're going to bring up in Star Trek 6, there is a colonel. There's a guy who's referred to as a colonel in Star Trek 6. Colonel West. It's weird. It's a problem. The average single-family house. Okay, so here's the house. My house is not, I don't think is that big. I used to know how many square feet my house is. But the average single house in the U.S. is 2,400 square feet. But we could look at that at some point because the living quarters are still rather small. So they should have had more living quarters, maybe. Instead, they have all kinds of extra stuff on board the ship. Oh, hand phasers. Here's what we're here for. There's a YouTube video that compares size to manpower for the D. I think that's the one that I just posted. Yeah, it's probably not the best Borg episodes, just all the Borg episodes. The introduction of the Borg, man, that was a great episode. The Marines are in Enterprise. The introduction of the Borg were fantastic. The Pale and Moonlight are the best Cisco and best Garrick episodes. Hand phaser type 1. I always wanted one of these phasers as a kid. Oh, I love that tells you effective ranges in meters. And the first thing it tells you is the overload blast radius. So its overload blast radius is 40 meters. Dematerialize 10 meters. Disrupt 20 meters. Heat 2 meters. Stun 30 meters. But this would be a really good page for a fabrication of a prop. Force dial indicator, force style setting wheel, operational, a blue light, magnetomic adhesive area. So you can just stick it on to your uniform someplace. Something in your uniform lets you just stick it on, right? The trigger. But then again, all of these Star Trek weapons are pretty dangerous. Because, okay, so you activate this by a trigger that's up here on the top, and you just press it. There's nothing that, like we're going to see on the Type 2 phasers over here, like there's no trigger guard. No, there's 2 firing triggers here. There's no trigger guard, and there's no trigger guard on the Type 1 phaser either, which you would think they, especially people who had like the World War II experience, would go, wait a minute, we need something that keeps something from falling on this phaser. Like, do we see a safety on here? And shooting the phaser, especially when you're talking about something with a dematerialized setting. Deflector shield. That's interesting. It says deflector shield around here. BGD says the overload blast radius of a Type 1 phaser is the same as that of a Toyota Prius. BGD, presumably a lot of the internal volume of the Starship needs to be devoted to machinery, equipment, resource storage, water storage. They had a lot of water storage in the blueprints of the original Enterprise. Yeah, they do. I was actually thinking about the other day because it's in an episode with Romulans. Mike says, I like how the Borg were alluded to in an episode that ended up having nothing to do with them. Yeah, it was an episode with the Romulans. They got the Borg cleared out something in the neutral zone. There were a few things like that in Star Trek: The Next Generation that alluded to things and other plot lines. Now, of course, the Borg did get picked up, but that particular plot line did not get picked up. But other things that did not. Particularly, that never got followed up on. It was very episodic television. Oh, I wonder if we got the rifle in here. In Warhammer 40K, they really shoot mini rockets, so that phaser isn't so bad. Well, I've always liked this phaser. I'm trying to think. I don't think I had one. I know I had it with the Type 2 phaser. I had a toy that was a Type 2 phaser. And of course, it has the Type 1 installed here. But yeah, this is a dangerous weapon. And it's one of the more super science things in Star Trek. Because, like, what exactly is in this? And probably also something that doesn't really could transfer to other types of technology. Because exactly what is in this, I don't even see a place to put a new battery in it. How do you reload this? We've got an access plate down here. So I guess you access, but something in this really small package, handheld package, has got to have enough energy for multiple things, for multiple shots that can dematerialize something. Wild Barley says, oh, the D has the dolphins too. That's right. Hey, Wild Barley. It has the dolphins too, yet which never got brought up, although it was like alluded to. There was like didn't somebody say, like, have you shown them the dolphins yet or something? That, remember, that was something early on that was going to be some type of thing that the dolphins helped the Enterprise D navigate, but then it never actually got brought up. That really would have changed the feel of Star Trek. All of Star Trek, The Next Generation, had they actually gone there and talking to the dolphins. BGD says, I wish I still had those big sheet blueprints of the TOS Enterprise. I still have the box set of the ones for the D. Oh, there was a box set of the ones for the D? Oh, now I want that. Now, I found the big sheets of the original Enterprise. I had to get that. My mother had that. And so I got them. We looked at them here on the show one morning. Remember the bugs that were like puppet masters? I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, is that the episode that had the really gruesome way they blew up one of the guys in Starfleet? Because that was also one of those things that was brought up, but then was never actually was followed up on. It seemed like it was going to be a big thing, but never was. DS9 was the first Star Trek to rely on more continuous storytelling than episodic installments. It actually changed all Trek moving forward because of how successful it was at telling its stories. Oh, so when was what's the dates on Star Trek DS9? See, there's also a technological limitation. Star Trek Deep Space Nine started in 1993 and ran for 7 seasons. Okay. Because there's a limit, if you have truly episodic television, and every time that you come in, you can't count on anybody having seen anything previous, then you don't really have much of a choice but to tell a story that starts in the same way it always starts. You know what everything is, completes an arc, and then returns everything to the beginning again. I had a TNG phaser and it made sound, drove my mom nuts. I had a TNG phaser as well as the tricorder. I have not seen Lower Decks, but Lower Decks calls back to that. The Cerritos has navigational dolphins. Yeah, Elon Musk would freak over that battery technology. Yeah, whatever is in this Type 1 hand phaser. But if you have batteries that good, how does that actually change the rest of the Enterprise? And here again, we have the danger. See, my favorite phaser, this is probably my second favorite phaser. Of all the different phasers that are out there, this is probably my second favorite. My favorite phaser is the assault phasers from Star Trek 5 and 6. We'll talk about them again when we finish talking about Star Trek 6 on Table Talk. Then this one. Of course, they're in the same kind of style. Then I would say the next generation phaser, hand phaser, that's the classic one you think about, because there were some really bad iterations of the phaser on Star Trek, the next generation, until they got one that was okay. But it's still not an effective weapon. Like, how you even aim what's in the next generation is weird. Mike says, I had the models, which had a Type 2 communicator and tricorder. The battery was in the handle of the Type 2 and were charged in a charging station like on the shuttle. I had the models, which had a Type 2 communicator and tricorder. The battery was in the handle of the Type 2. Yeah. I think, yes, that the handle is the battery. I remember that now. Is it going to say that here? The magnetomic adhesive areas. But you're right. The handle of this Type 2 is a big battery pack. Like it would be a magazine and a pistol. I remember that. Recording TNG had become common by 1990. Yeah, so then you could start recording TV shows. That was like VHS. You could record them yourself. So if you missed one, I remember seeing commercials for VHS recorders that or VHS tapes with like you can be freed from the constraints of time now that you can record on your VHS. So if you're away, you can watch the Tonight Show in the morning. Sternbeck and Roddenberry specifically evolved the Type 2 phaser away from a pistol configuration in the next generation to fit with Starfleet's evolution toward exploration in its 24th century golden age. But it's still a weird weapon. I mean, I can see that's why they might have done that, but still goes along with being a weird weapon. Once again, this is a dangerous weapon right here. So we got overload blast radius on this thing is 135 meters. Like if this thing blows up, 135 meters, at least they have large blast radiuses here, because once again, whatever kind of battery tech is in this. Photon accelerator beam emitter dematerialized now at 30 meters, disrupt at 30 meters, 60 meters, heat at 6 meters, and stun at 90 meters. Still, but it has no trigger guard. It can dematerialize things. Like, how many accidents have they had with this? And you don't sheath. There's no trigger guard on it, and you don't put it in a holster. I mean, holstering weapons, that's an important part of the safety part of being, having a weapon. Holstering it so that its trigger is covered. But when you carry this thing around, its trigger is uncovered, same way with over here, and there is no trigger guard. Hey, Michael. JDM says, also back to an earlier point, Water closet for bathroom may be from the designer's familiarity with construction drawing. That's how they're abbreviated, not to be confused with bedroom BR. Oh, well, that could be it. That's a good point. So water closet is used in construction drawing. That could be it. Or it could be a reference to the fact the Federation Starfleet is led by United Earth, not just places on Earth where we use bathroom. WC might be from the Europeans designing starships. Could be. It could be. That's a good point. Michael says, I always preferred PPG from Babylon 5. PPGs? I'm not familiar with Babylon 5. I should see some Babylon 5 too. Michael says, more ergonomic, however, much more devastating. Is that more peaceful? Oh, yeah. Remember having to set the time on your VHS? Do you remember having to set your time on everything? Now you have to set your time on nothing. I don't know. I'm sure there's discussion about that online. Hand phaser 2. Interlocking switches. So there is a safety here. So safety, it says you got a safety click, I guess, up here. And a trigger, and then a trigger. It says, warning, discard any unit showing any dimensional change. Because you don't want it to overload and blow up. Where was this from? This must have been shown someplace. Ray gun. Offensive, defensive area weapon? I don't remember this. Maybe it was used in... Was this something that was in the pilot, the original pilot or something? Because I don't remember this at all. This round thing? Offensive disrupt range, 90. Effective area at range, 3. Defensive stun range, 180. Effective area at range, 8. Length overall. Let's see. Oh, plasma projection gun. Okay. Okay, that's what that is. Ray gun in the original Star Trek. No, that's not what I thought it was. Okay, here's a picture of this round thing. Offensive defensive ray gun from Star Trek, the original 3D print model. Okay, but who's holding it? I'm looking for a picture of somebody who's holding it. The ray gun looks like something Quark would sell under his table. Yeah, I don't know where this comes from. It looks completely out of style for the rest of it. Sciences section. Mike says it was used in 1 or 2 episodes and used a Lego's egg as a base. Oh, I use legs. Oh, legs egg. Oh, that's the pantyhose. On first pass, the internet still has very little information on that. Huh. Well, it shouldn't be an early movie because this was written in 1975. So this is pre-movies. Command intelligence. Visual display. This is like Spock's station. Note, CD computer data and systems visual readout screens. The station is also duplicated on the emergency bridge. All scientific command intelligence is handled through the station. All scientific command intelligence. That's what they're calling it. They're calling this thing that Spock looked in. Oh, BGD says, I read somewhere the ray gun was an actual prop, but it was used as a hand weapon for repairs, a hand tool for repairs in the TOS. Oh, okay. Now I can I can believe that. I can believe somebody's like holding that and waving it over something. Now that I could believe. Because I'm trying to think of now, it's not like I might have seen every Star Trek original series episode. I think that I tried deliberately to sit and watch all of them a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And so I could remember it, or I could have just not seen it. But now I can believe that. It was a silver with a red button. The emitter was clear. I think I could recall that. If somebody's waving it over something, I bet I can remember that. We got to find a reference for that. Michael says, I'm always surprised when writers haven't seen Babylon 5. It was written as a televised novel. Yes, I should go and see Babylon 5. I don't remember why I didn't at the time. When was Babylon on? We ran for 5 seasons, starting in 1994. Yeah, I don't really remember why it was I wasn't watching that. But I need to. All right, so controls console. So this is the Type SS HRS RVS 1 scanner. Okay. That's what Spock is always looking into. Intercom, command functions slave panel, system sensors and scanners complex control panel, active record dex holder. That's for his space zip drives. Library computer control panel. I love the feel of this. I really love the feel of this. Science division intercom, command intelligence, sciences and technology function. The tricorder. I wanted to try to find one of these tricorders, but I never did. I think it was BGD. Was it BGD who was talking about the models, or maybe it was Mike? I had some of the toys at one point, but we liked building models, and I enjoyed building models. We built a lot of the Star Trek models, Star Trek and Star Wars models. And then at one time, at one like mini convention that I was at, I saw that they had actual models of some of the props, like the tricorder and the phasers, and they were expensive because they were out of print. So this was like, before the internet and before 3D printing things and whatever. But I know they had actually done things that were supposed to be replica props as models. And I always wanted them. Selectively sense, measure, analyze, compare, and identify surrounding environmental conditions. Multiple channel records or readout capability with multimodal display choice. Oh, there's the front of it. Video display. Sensor array, subnormal light, amber. Danger alarm, red. I guess this is scanning something dangerous. Hopefully this doesn't overload. Blow up in a 135 meter radius. This section to be opened only by Class A specialist ratings. Removable play record discs. Oh, I don't remember them ever putting in discs in here, but that's interesting. So they've got removable discs here. They don't have a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection. No Bluetooth connection. Speaker, mic, and faceplate. No, we got internals right here. Internal arrangement. Also a fan of the tricorders. Somebody was saying how great Leonard Nimoy was with prop use because he always lets you see it. Like he was always holding it, you know, so that in a good position for the cameras. I'm sure you could like download the 3D printing thing, download the model for this to 3D print. So that's another thing that if I get a 3D printer, then I can sit here and print chunks of plastic. I could have all of these printed up. I got to get stuff out of this house. There's too much stuff in this house. I don't need to 3D print stuff forever. Galactic coordinate system. What time is it? All right, let's take a look at this. The original Sciences tricorder is such an incredibly iconic design. I don't know if you can still find a model, but I think a company called Diamond made some detailed replicas recently. Pricey. I bet you could 3D print it. But yes, it's an extremely iconic design. There's not a whole lot of like controls on it for see note D. So it says, I guess speaker mics, you're supposed to talk to it, I guess. So speaker and microphone. The galactic coordinate system. All right, let's see about this. So this says, okay, UFP is right here, United Federation Planet. Standard 0 time reference, standard 0 reference, shapely center. Okay, corona envelope sphere. AU, astronomical unit, Terran. Range in PC or KPC. Parsecs volume. I think it goes into more detail over here. Nimoy was the superior filmmaker, as evidenced by Star Trek 3 and 4. And to contrast that with, I think about that all the time. Now that we've been going through this, through on Table Talk and analysis of all the films, Nimoy did a great job. Shatner did not, as far as being a director goes. But then once, the director returns. What director? Star Trek. His name just left me. Nicholas Meyer. Once Nicholas Meyer returned, I was looking for other Nicholas Meyer films, and there are a few. But once he returned, James says Diamond distributed him. Art Asylum manufactured them. Diamond eventually bought Art Asylum and didn't continue the Art Asylum prop or replica Starship lines. James knows our toy expert. James says that's why they're pricey. They're discontinued. Shatner was hamstrung, though. Nimoy was fantastic, and I'm not suggesting we take that from him. Well, he was hamstrung. He was hamstrung, but I've just been noticing that more, and it's not something I ever would have noticed. I think it's talking to Brianna as a director. That, like, I was talking about this, and when we were talking about Star Trek 6, that you can really tell the difference between where the money is being spent in Star Trek 6 versus Star Trek 5. That you can just tell that he spent a whole lot of money in places that it didn't matter. But he could have done a better job. He could have done a better job if he hadn't been thwarted. There were other issues there as well. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of issues with Star Trek 5. But I think some of them, I think you see the difference in the directing between Star Trek 3 and 4 and 6. For some fantastic Star Trek behind the scenes, I highly recommend Shatner's Raw Nerve. He interviews several of the cast, notably Nimoy and Koenig. Wouldn't it be great if we could get Koenig on Table Talk? It would be so much fun to interview someone like that. Okay, SINS base. So I don't really understand what's trying to tell me all that much right here. I need some more information for a galactic coordinate system. I think what it might be telling us is we're using angular measurements. I think. Well, okay, so example location up here, bearing plus 58 degrees, bearing 580000, mark 300 Okay, so and it's okay, it's using range 15.337 kpc. This is not terribly clear. James says you're 100% correct regarding money, but they could have happened. But that could have happened under the expectation of a bigger budget. I don't disagree with you. Just wanted to give him the biggest benefit of the doubt, and we should. Yes. Oh, thank you. I'm trying. Koenig said Koenig's favorite character. Well, you guys are being very conversational today, and it's fantastic. Koenig's favorite character was Bester on Babylon 5. And yeah, I saw that he was on Babylon 5. That's another reason to go watch Babylon 5. So if we're starting from it looks like that example location is being computed from this point right here. Because D, so our major division, D, and then centidivision and millidivision. So CD and MD, I see that up here. Stated as 0, mark 0, R10 kpc. Bearing, mark, and range. Location, okay, no, it says the location of the UFP. So they don't use the center of the galaxy. They're using, so that's why they're using the location of the UFP as bearing 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, mark 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, range 10 kpc. So the location of the UFP is stated as 0, mark 0, R10 kpc. And then we're doing angular measurements, it looks like, off of the location of the UPC. This needs some additional explanation. Mike says, reach out to him. Walter Koenig has done a lot of gigs for films and museum guest appearances. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. And I was talking to Brianna about how I want to bring more guests on Table Talk anyway. But like I said, I've been consumed with writing the story. And I want to, I need a system to start helping to book people and get guests, especially for Thursday night on Table Talk. We got to have a system that makes that happen, and a system that makes dinner and a board game happen. Systems, got to implement systems. Okay, I need more explanation here, but that seems to be what they're doing. It's interesting. They're basing it off of the location of the UFP. The signs SNIS base datum in galactic coordinate system. So this is the Space Inertial Navigation System, is the fundamental guidance base for the onboard navigational computer complex. It's activated and accurately aligned in the galactic coordinate system at commissioning in planetary orbit, and thereafter maintains this alignment without error. Without error, that's important. The starship carries this datum with it forward wherever it goes and moves within this reference framework to port or starboard or up or down in any direction. Okay. Well, that's interesting. The Space Inertial Navigation System. It's activated and is aligned. So it's aligned. I always thought they were doing something, giving coordinates relative to the ship, but they're giving coordinates relative to the galactic space coordinates. Declination plane, azimuth plane, nadir, and zenith. sphere envelope containing all numerical combinations of the declination and azimuth. So this is, again, I need some more information, I feel like. But this is accurately aligned with the galactic coordinate system at commissioning in planetary orbit, and thereafter maintains the alignment. We're using bearing and mark. Oh, Stray, you gifted him. Thank you, Stray, for gifting a membership. And Atma, you got it. Hey, let's see in the comment section. Thank you, Stray, for gifting the membership. Thank you. Seems overly complicated. It might. I was looking some stuff up about how to tell direction in space or different types of coordinate systems that's used for a galaxy. I'm not exactly sure that it might make sense, but I need more explanation than just these pictures. Course tracking element, schematic class 1 starships. Velocity time relationship. Interstellar warp technology, subwarp speed grid. I still love the world building in this. Subwarp speed grid assumes attainment of VC in 1 second. Subwarp speed grid assumes attainment of V equals C in 1 second, and C is 299,781 kilometers per second. Max safe cruise speed, warp factor 6, emergency speed, warp factor 8. So I don't really understand where we got. What are we looking at? Velocity and time, I believe. T, time. No, yeah, this is imaginary. Well, I'm not going to be able to figure this out on screen. Imaginary negative time. Imaginary negative velocity, where T equals real time terrestrial, V equals sublight velocity, E equals mc squared. So warp factor. So it's not the case that, and I knew that, warp factor 5 is not 5 times the speed of light. And they changed up their... Oh, wait, we're getting faster as we go down here. So warp factor 2 is 8 times C. Warp factor 3 is 27 times C. Warp factor 4 is 64 times C. Warp factor 5 is 125 times C. And I believe they changed the warp scale in between the Star Trek and Star Trek, the Next Generation. Zero time reference. Yeah, speed of light. Yes, the speed of light is warp factor 1. So warp factor 1 is the speed of light. But then warp factor 2 is 8 times the speed of light. 3, 27 times. And 5, 125 times. That's fast. Why do I smell copper? I'm not sure what that's a reference to. I remember them talking about standard orbits in the Next Generation technical manual. That's kind of a... We're trying to come up with some way to not have to specify some kind of orbital numbers, some kind of orbital specification every time the ship goes in orbit around something. So they just came up with this idea of standard orbit. Again, it seems like I need some more information. So entry path. Need more detail. All right, let's see. What else is left in this book? Some stuff. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll just go on until tomorrow. I guess we will have a part 3 here. This has been fun anyway. These have been great conversations. The Dungeons and Dragons equipment guide, arms and equipment guide. If you didn't see those, check out those. Those were some fantastic conversations about, real life weapons and armor and also their fantasy equivalents. Excuse me. And so this has been too. So this has been wonderful. All right. Well, everybody, I'm going to see if I can fix up this story. So hopefully I can, and hopefully I can get it done in some amount of time that we, that I can like clean up around the house and do other things today too. But everybody, please be constructive, be creative, and I will see you tomorrow. Grind on.